Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is video 52HW1, factoring when a equals 1. And we're going to break things down factoring wise. We're going to go over the first couple problems on the homework. Remember, if you have any questions, please see me during extra help. I'll be happy to help you out, or ask me during class. I'll be happy to help you. And obviously at the end of this video, make sure you finish off the rest of the problems on a Google form and make sure you hit submit on that Google form so I get all your answers. Make sure you're doing everything correctly. And you get to find out if you're doing it right or wrong. Alright, so moving on, problem number 1. We have x squared minus 24 equals negative 5x. What we first got to do is use inverse operations and put things into standard form. So if you have x squared minus 24 equals negative 5x, we actually got to move this negative 5x to the other side. And when we do that, we're going to add 5x to both sides. We're going to get this equation right here. We have x squared plus 5x minus 24 equals 0. Now, with that being said, where this is a positive 1 in front, we then have to do 1 times negative 24, which gets you negative 24, and we got to find the factors of negative 24 that multiply together to get negative 24. And then add up together to get positive 5. So we have negative 1 times 24. We have negative 2 times 12. We have negative 3 times 8. Now I got lucky. On my third one, I see that negative 3 plus 8 gets you positive 5. So these two numbers are the two numbers I'm about to use for the next step. This next step, I'm going to write out x, because that's the variable we're using, minus 3, because we have a minus 3, times x plus 8. Those two equations set it equal to 0, because we have it equal to 0. We now have to solve for x for each one of them. So we're going to take that and we're going to write them out individually. X minus 3 equals 0. And then we're going to have x plus 8 equals 0. And then you could use your inverse operations. You know, minus 3, we add 3 to both sides, so we get x equals 3. And we have an x equals negative 8 because we subtract 8 from both sides. So our answer is going to be C for number 1. Let's try that again with another problem. So we have n squared plus 12 equals negative 8n. We first got to add 8n to both sides. And we got to put things in the standard form where we have the n squared, then the minus 8n plus 12. So in other words, it looks like this. We have n squared minus 8n plus 12 equals 0. Very good. So what we got to do next, there's an imaginary 1 in front because we're working with a equal 1. We're going to do 1 times 12, which is 12. So we're going to do the factors of 12. So what factors we have of 12 are 1 and 12. 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Those are all the positive factors, but now we have to also consider the negative ones. So negative 1 times negative 12 gets you positive 12. Negative 2 times negative 6 gets you positive 12. And when you add those two together, negative 2 plus a negative 6, you're going to get negative 8. So those are our two numbers that we're going to be working with. So it'll be n minus 2 instead of parentheses is equal to 0, and n minus 6 is equal to 0. Add 2 to both sides, so we get n equals 2. Add 6 to both sides, and we get n equals 6. So the two factors of n that make this equation work are 2 and 6. Those are my two answers. Let's do another one. Problem number 3. We have x squared minus 7 equals 6x. We use our inverse operations. So we're going to move that positive 6x over to the left-hand side by subtracting 6x from both sides. And we get this equation right here. We get x squared minus 6x minus 7. This is imaginary 1 in front. 1 times negative 7 is negative 7, so we got to do the factors of negative 7. So you already know it's a 1 and negative 7. We have negative 1, positive 7. And that looks like that's all the factors here. So we need which combination gets you negative 6? Well, that will be 1 and negative 7 gets us negative 6. So we're going to do x plus 1 equals 0. And then x minus 7 equals 0. Those are our two equations. Subtract 1 from both sides and we get x equals negative 1. Add 7 to both sides and we get x equals 7. Those are my two answers for this problem. One more. Last one here. We'll do problem number 4. All right, here's our last problem here. So we have b squared equals 10 plus 3b. We're going to subtract 3b from both sides and subtract 10 from both sides using our inverse operation skills that we learned early in the year. So this is 1b squared. Can't forget about that little squared guy. Minus 3b minus 10. Now 1 times negative 10 is 10. So we're going to do all the factors of negative 10. So we got 1 and negative 10, 2 and negative 5. Well, 2 plus negative 5 is negative 3, so actually that's our answer right there. So we have x plus 2 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0. Subtract 2 from both sides, so we get x equals negative 2. Add 5 to both sides and we get x equals 5. And that's our final answer there for problem number 4. We got answers of x equals negative 2 and x equals 5. All right, if you have any questions, please come to Extra Help. I'll be happy to help you out. Make sure you also finish off this Google form and make sure you hit that submit button at the end. All right, have yourselves a wonderful night.